A very good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat pagi. Ohayou gozaimasu. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 18th Urban Research Plaza Forum 2021, which is held by Universitas Gadjah Mada in collaboration with the Osaka City University and Institute Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta, with this year's theme is Exchange the Information, Idea, and Methodology for Overcoming Current COVID-19 Condition through Arts and Culture. But since this is a virtual meeting, so I would like to hear your response, whether you can clearly hear my voice or not. Can you hear my voice?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Nola Hernawati, and I will be your master ceremony during this opening ceremony. On behalf of the committee, I would like to extend my warm welcome to all of you to this special virtual forum. Ladies and gentlemen, now let me briefly walk you through the schedule for the first day of the 18th URP Forum. For today's opening ceremony, we will have this following agenda. The first is a welcoming speech by Dr. Agus Wigno, the Vice Dean of Research, Publication and Cooperation, Faculty of Cultural Sciences, Universitas Gadjah Mada. The second is an opening note by Professor Shin Nakagawa from the Osaka City University, Japan. The third is a contemporary dancing performance from the Institute Seni Indonesia, Yogyakarta. And right after the opening ceremony is the first presentation session, which will be chaired by Mrs. Carlina Maizida. Before we go any further, let us listen together to the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Okay, on behalf of the committee, I would like to apologize. It seems that we have technical issues here. So I can see from the chat column that we cannot hear the national anthem of Indonesia Raya. So I would like to apologize for that. And Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the first agenda of today's event, I would like to invite Dr. Agus Suwednyo as the representative of Universitas Gadjah Mada to give his welcoming speech. Dr. Suwednyo, are you already with us? Hello, Dr. Suwednyo, are you here with us? So this is interesting thing of having a virtual event like this. So please mind the gaps, mind the pauses sometimes. Let me call you one more time. Dr. Suwednyo, are you here with us already? It seems Dr. Suwednyo is having a connection issue, maybe. So I will try to do the switch. Maybe we can start from the Osaka City University's representative. So I would like to invite Professor Nakagawa from the Osaka City University to deliver his opening note. Professor Nakagawa, are you with us?
Yes, thank
yes,
you.
thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Okay, Professor Nakagawa, the
You
time
can
is
hear.
yours.
You can hear me. Okay, thank
very
you.
clearly.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today at the 18th URP Jakarta Forum. First of all, I would like to thank the committee for this event, the staff of FEB UGM, and of course, I would like to also thank the staff of ISI Jakarta. They are my very long time friends. So thank you so much. And this forum was first held in 2003 and has been held every year since then. But we were unable to hold it last year. In this forum, we have approached various urban cultural issues that have arisen from changes in social structure due to globalization from the perspective of the arts, humanities, and social sciences. We have always discussed these issues with a view to globalism. And the global infection explosion of COVID-19 also has a lot to do with globalization of the world. This is why COVID-19 must also be investigated in the context of urban cultural studies. In this forum today, I would like to discuss what role art and culture can play in the context of COVID-19. This time, the committee has written a very good text in seminar themes. This was forward. This is very good text. Let me pick up one sentence. While the arts and culture sectors are among the hardest hit by the global pandemic, it is believed that arts and culture play a pivotal position to control and minimize the impact of pandemic. Yes, this sentence. I love it. Yes, I totally agree with this sentence. Now is the time for arts and culture to fulfill its proper role. And what is the role? It is to clarify COVID-19, not from the perspective of medical science or natural science, but from the perspective of humanity, such as art, culture, and education, and to suggest ways and means to overcome or coexist with the social and psychological difficulties and problems we are now facing. If possible, it is desirable that the output is not only in the form of a paper, but also in the form of expression, such as drama, music, art, and literature, and so on. This is because only researchers read papers. Usually the people from society don't read papers, academic papers. We have to send the current message to the people too. Fortunately, Yogyakarta is a city of arts and culture. I know very well. And many of our researchers, you are also artists. So there is not much differentiation between researchers and artists there. I think this is a big advantage compared to Japan. In that case, I don't think it matters much whether the expression is in a physical space or an online space. Nowadays, the online space is also a very real space, as we all know. We can now move freely between the two spaces. And COVID-19 has moved the needle on the decade of evolution in one fell swoop. I would like to conclude my speech by wishing that this forum will be very fruitful. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak sekali. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Nakagawa. We are pleased to see you today. Now, I would like to re-invite Dr. Agus Swigno as the representative of Universitas Gadjah Mada. Dr. Swigno, are you here with us? Because I see your picture.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. So, Pak Agus, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, but I could not unmute myself when I was called for. So I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. My sincere good morning to Prof. Shin Nakagawa, you, and also to Prof. Hanggar Budi from Indonesian Institute of Arts in Yogyakarta, to the head of department, archaeology department, and also to the chairwoman of this seminar, Dr. Anggraini, to all my colleagues at UGM, at EC in Yogyakarta, and also at in Japan, in Osaka. And I swear I would like to say thank you once again. Let's be thankful for this opportunity, because we can meet again today, albeit via the online mechanism. But we should be thankful for the health and also the so far perhaps good situation that we are having today, considering the one-year pandemic that still is going on. On behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Cultural Sciences, I would like to welcome back the Urban Research Plaza Forum discussion. And this has been a long-standing cooperation between UGM and EC and Osaka City University, and our cooperation has been so fruitful so far, with quite a lot of discussions, topics raised, and also some publications, as I see. And today we can catch up again with the same topic, or perhaps not topic, but the same forum for exchanging our ideas and thinkings. Ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic has pushed us all, everyone technically around the globe, to get adjusted to the new situation. Some people may have been impacted dramatically and seriously and badly. But the pandemic is also, it's like a war. This has double sides. During the pandemics, we have seen quite a lot of threats and also dangers, and also some fragile lives on the making. But on the other hand, we also have seen quite a lot of opportunities to develop. And this, what we are having now, today at the moment, that thanks to the technology development, we are able to have this forum online. The opportunity would be immense because by having this forum online, then we can cover much broader audience and also much broader target of partners of discussions. The pandemics, once again, has raised both threats and opportunities, and it is at our hands to deal both wisely and academically for our progress. And the topics that that is being raised for this year of Urban Research Plaza is very relevant. That is the exchanges of ideas and plans in relations to the COVID-19. We at the Faculty of Cultural Sciences publish several thinkings, reflections, and also research in the early months of the pandemics. And I see here some of the others, contributors to the books present here. And there is Mbak Sita Hidayah, Mbak Mala, Bu Mimi, and Carlina as well, Mas Fajri. Those who have written reflections based on the first-hand experience during the first months of the pandemic last year. But now we have to move on with further reflections, further projections for what to happen in the coming months. We are still quite uncertain, despite the vaccination in Indonesia has been taking place, but we are still waiting for some more months, maybe more, to get sure that the pandemic is being handled already to make us safer. But ladies and gentlemen, at the moment, let's make use of these opportunities to reflect on together. And I do hope this time, our reflections will come up with a lot more publications, of course, as always. And let me say thank you to Prof. Sin Nakagawa, who is persistently and also consistently, working on this project for already many years now. I think it's more than 15 years now, right, Prof. Sin? More than 15 years that Prof. Sin has been dealing with this project, and I'm really amazed by his commitment to again to organize and also to propose on the spread of knowledges between Indonesia and Japan. Last but not least, thank you again, and I wish you all very fruitful discussions during this one-day seminar, and let's hope for the best for us. And thank you, terima kasih, arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suwiknyo, for the warm and insightful opening remark. Moving on to the next agenda, we are going to watch a contemporary dancing performance entitled Ruang Rindu, presented by Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta. I'm sorry, but I think there is a technical issue with us. So I think we will like work on the technical issue regarding of the audio for like 1 or 2 minutes, and then we are going to pause the video until we fix the problem. So please, ladies and gentlemen, kindly wait for the full performance. Wow, what a great performance from the very talented student from Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta. So please show your warm applause to the performance by clicking the applause emo maybe. Yeah, because it's virtual, but I can see that all of you are clapping. It was a really relatable performance for everyone trying to cope with the pandemic situation. So once again, that was a very great performance from Institute Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, now that this opening ceremony has come to an end, without waiting any longer, I am happy to announce that the 18th Urban Research Plaza Forum officially begins. I would like to wish everyone an enjoyable and inspiring experience in this forum. Thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mrs. Maizida, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you kindly, Mala. Is my voice clearly? Can you hear
Very
my
clear.
voice? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay. Okay, first of all, let me greet Dr. Agus Wignyo as the Vice Dean of Research, Publication and Cooperation from Faculty of Cultural Sciences, UGM, and Professor Shin Nakagawa as the representative of 18 URP Forum from Osaka City University. All the committee, all the presenter, ladies and gentlemen who participate in this forum, good morning to all of you, and maybe good afternoon, right, in Japan, Prof. Shinakagawa? Is it? Okay, thank you. My name is Carlina Maizida from Faculty of Cultural Sciences, UGM. Here I will be a moderator in today's forum. In this first day of seminar, we will have 5 presenters. All of them is very intelligent scholar who have been doing many things in their field. And during the pandemic, they still find opportunity to conduct research in the art, culture, performance, as well as tourism. They are Prof. Junko Konizi. Professor Junko Konizi, are you here with us?
Yeah.
Yes, I guess. And then Dr. Sita Hidayah, and then Rucita Rahma Ristiawan MSc, Dr. Retno Mustikawati, and then the last one is Mei Artanto MA. I saw all of them already joining and ready to share their idea. Okay, before we start, I want to give information about how this seminar will going on. So each presenter will have 25 minutes to present the idea. I will give a sign by raising my hand when the time is less than last 5 minutes. The discussion or Q&A session will be conducted at the end after all the presentation finish in last 30 minutes ahead to end. Participant is going to give a question directly asked to the presenter or type in the chat room that I will read it later. During presentation, we hope all participant is required to mute their microphone. Okay, now I will introduce you to the first presenter, Professor Junko Konizi. Professor Junko Konizi is an ethnomusicologist and professor at Okinawa Prefectural University of Art since 2013. She is now a president of Japan Music Expression Society, vice president of Japan Society of Island Studies, director of Society for Art and Anthropology, and also director of the Soundscape Association of Japan. And she is also the chairperson of Tanabe Hisao Prize. She wrote many articles and books. Her main research area are Micronesia and Japanese remote island. Her research interests include transmission and localization of musical culture, soundscape, applied ethnomusicology, and ecomusicology. In this forum, she will present her paper entitled Music and Art Education Under the Pandemic in the case of Okinawa Prefectural University of Art. Without any further ado, please welcome Professor Junko Konishi.
Hi. Hello, everybody. So now I'd like to share my PowerPoint. Okay. Can you see this PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, everyone, again. Thank you for your introduction, Kalina. So my name is Junko Konishi. It's good to see you this international conference supported by Urban Research Plaza, East Jakarta, and Osaka City University. First of all, I thank Professor Shin Nakagawa and Dr. Agus Suino for inviting me and staffs who set up this great opportunity and all participants here. Today, I'd like to talk about music and arts education under the pandemic in case of Okinawa Prefecture University of Arts, where I'm teaching with my empirical knowledge. I divided my presentation into 5 parts. First, I'd like to give you some background that include the location and brief history of Okinawa and Okinawa Prefecture University of Arts, hence OPUA, the structure of the Japanese higher education and institutions, arts and music, and overview of OPUA. Secondly, I'd like to talk about OPUA's direction and activities with COVID-19 along time series. Thirdly, we will move on the result of OPUA's first half-yearly survey 2020 on classes. Then fourthly, discussions and finally conclude this presentation. Okay, now we'd like to start by talking about location and history of Okinawa briefly. Okinawa Prefecture, which is one of the 47 prefectures of Japan and located at the southwestern tip of the Japanese archipelago. This is made up of 160 large and small islands and surrounded by East China Sea and the Pacific Ocean. The population is approximately 1.44 million people, and the total land area is approximately 2,281 square kilometers. The location of Okinawa Islands has provided convenient access to mainland Japan and several regions throughout Asia. In the 13th century, 3 regional spheres were formed, and one was chiefly traded with China's Mian dynasty. They embraced the rich culture coming from the continent, and finally Shohashi united them as the Ryukyu Kingdom in 1429. Now, I'd like to turn to the history. The Ryukyu Kingdom actively conducted trade with Japan and China, as well as Southeast Asian countries such as Luzon, now Philippines, and Siam, now Thailand. To entertain the envoys of the Chinese emperor, the unique culture of the Ryukyu Kingdom, including performing arts, crafts, and food, became refined. While Ryukyu Kingdom continued a tributary trade with China, it was placed under the control of Satsuma, Japan, in 1606. Then the Ryukyu Kingdom complied with the mandatory subsumption ritual visiting Tokugawa shogunate's capital of Edo. In 1879, the Ryukyu Kingdom was abolished and Okinawa Prefecture was established. During World War II, the general population of Okinawa was involved and severe damage both in terms of human lives and culturally. In 1945, Okinawa was placed under American rule until it was reversed to Japan in 1972. This heavy influence from the United States remains especially around the US military bases by now. As a result, Okinawa developed a distinctive transboundary and composite culture than mainland of Japan. Now, I'd like to explain the structure of the Japanese higher education and institutions of arts and music. In Japan, Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology, hence I call it MEXT, authorizes universities, national, public, private, and junior colleges and pursues various policies. And Higher Education Bureau promotes higher education focusing on undergraduate and graduate schools. There are many and various national, public, private universities and junior colleges that establish the arts and music departments. Among them, there are 5 universities, that is Tokyo University of Arts, Kyoto University of Arts, Kanazawa College of Art, Aichi University of Arts, and Okinawa Prefectural University of Arts, hence I call OPUA, exchanges students to strengthen their friendship. OPUA is the youngest university among them, however, it is acknowledged as one of the institutions dedicated to art and music education. OPUA is located at the prefectural capital, Naha City. It was founded in 1986 in the historic town of Shuri, the center of the Ryukyu Kingdom. The founding principles emphasizes the pursuit of both Okinawan and global sense of beauty. In 1989, Faculty of Arts and Craft authorized. In 1994, Faculty of Music and Graduate School, and 1996, the PhD program was authorized. OPUA is a small-scale university. Total number of students from the undergraduate to PhD is only 549. Before the pandemic, a face-to-face communication between students and faculty members was capable. OPUA has 3 rooms of gallery and a concert hall of 300 seating capacity in the campus. Let's turn to OPUA and COVID-19. In this part of my presentation, I'm going to talk about OPUA's direction and activities with COVID-19. I divided into 6 stages along time series, roughly from December to late February, February to March, April to early May, July to September, January to February. During this period, faculty members also have everyday work such as the entrance examinations, educational affairs, classes and terms, and examinations. So let me now explain each stage more specific. At the first stage, from December 2019 to late February 2020, COVID-19 was something a matter of the other place or endemic disease of Wuhan or China, as you can see from table 1 that ministerial conference described. However, this was not the matter of the other place. For PhD program of graduate school at OPUA had already received applications of entrance examination from students in China. Then the Japanese government provided health care to all passengers from China and asked them their health check. To avoid the infection, we planned a special treatment such as leaving spaces between desks of examinees to open windows and disinfect with alcohol. Finally, they had to cancel the examination for Chinese government prohibited them from traveling abroad. In late January, a cabinet order specified the pandemic influenza to be designated infection by Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare in Japan. The next started a campaign of practicing cough etiquette and hand washing, having a fever over 37.5 degrees Celsius take rest, ventilation, and disinfect with alcohol. Many posters were made not only by Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, but also by local governments and private companies, although OPUA did not make its own. Let's now have a look at examples of posters. These are examples of posters of coughing manners by the ministry and private companies. These examples of posters washing hands by the ministry and private companies. And this is an example of poster by the ministry. So let's move to the second stage from the late February to the end of March. In this period, concerts, events, and some exhibitions were canceled under the campaign of keeping social distances and air ventilation announced by MEXT. Canceled concerts and events are including a series of concerts by graduates, a retirement professor, a specially invited lecturer, and a French pianist Olivier Gardon. Others were a fashion show of kimono by students of crafts, open house for public, and graduation and entrance ceremonies. The cancellation of concerts were decided by Faculty of Music, caused by the campaign of keeping social distances and air ventilation. Damages of COVID to Faculty of Music was severe. On the other hand, all the exhibitions hosted by students were canceled. Those by Faculty of Arts and Crafts were held, restricting participants to the host-related persons, including students and teachers. Then on 13 March, the Act on Special Measures of Pandemic Influenza was declared. And 7th April 2020, the state of emergency was announced to these metropolitan and urbanized areas. Then this was extended to the whole country, including Okinawa. At the third stage, from April to the early May 2020, a remote teaching system was established at the OPA. We got licenses and provided accounts of the Microsoft 365 and Google Suite for faculty and students. Before them, we had no Wi-Fi access in campuses. On 8th May, the general educational subject and lectures on music and arts started remote teaching classes. And practical classes of arts on the class started with cough etiquette, hand washing, checking a fever, ventilation and the disinfect with alcohol. However, music practical classes were not held or only given these courses. Then, at the fourth stage, from July to September 2020, all concerts were canceled, while from 5 to 6 days exhibition by classes of the Japanese painting and oil painting were held as usual, although visitors were restricted to upper faculty students and related persons. However, at 5th stage, from January 20th to February, concerts restricted to people concerned were held. So he looks very happy to have his own concert. The gallery is well open to public and a special exhibition was held. On this stage, online events and the activities by YouTube study. This includes online open campus for Faculty of Music, Opera Students Online Festival, archive distribution of the graduate concert and graduate exhibitions. On the 6th stage, however, from January 20th to February 27th, 21, due to the announcement of the state emergency by Okinawa Prefectural government, orchestra concerts, a series of concerts of students were canceled. Concert for a series of graduate examinations were held and open to public. A string orchestra concert was held restricting to the related persons. However, it was distributed by YouTube later. Again, one of the severe damage of pandemic was to events of Faculty of Music. Now, I would like to turn to the result of survey to students. The period of the first half-yearly survey 2020 on classes to students is August to the end of September 2020. The number of total objective students in classes is 3,947. And number of respondents in is 2,069. This response rate is 52%. Questions items is numbered for 10 as it is listed here. And the same surveys has been done every half year of the year. The evaluation that students choose 5 rates from 5 excellent to 1 unacceptable. As a result, average of evaluation is 4.7. Also, especially music students who are not given practical classes in this period. This is very high evaluation, isn't it? The list of lower evaluated classes, points, and comments of students were shown here. They are instrumental ensemble, chorus, because of sound delay of online classes, practical opera, because online lessons were without a performance and without a duet. Beginners vocal classes, because it was difficult to communicate with the chat, and the analysis of music was difficult to understand through online. Teachers of vocal classes also set the difficulty. So vocal classes are difficult to prevent from the influence of the COVID-19. Take a look at this chart. The statistics is the comparison with the latest half-yearly survey with the last one to show the difference between before and after the COVID-19 damage. It is strange that the rate of responses of latest survey is higher than the latest one. However, the average of evaluation is the same point. The other wonderful but curious result is that 5 students won prizes at contests. I wonder how could they be given lessons while unbuilding and practicing rooms for students were closed or restricted to use. Were they practiced at their homes without face-to-face lessons? Comments of professors' musical instruments are positive, while some students claimed quantities and qualities of online lessons. Turn to SNS access. Number of access of YouTube is between 700 to 1400. There are various viewpoints of researches on YouTube, such as communication, affective engineering, social information, and education. However, these studies focus on YouTube as a fifth mass media, a big target. Remember, the number of students studying at OPWA is only 549. In addition, there are 100 full-time faculty members and hundreds of part-time teachers. The number of access and followers is small, as the same as the members of the university. In conclusion, I would like to summarize my presentation as follows. Under the pandemic, Faculty of Music at OPWA canceled classes of the face-to-face musical practices and many concerts. Several months later, online music lessons event and their active archives were provided substitute to them. Only both students and teachers of vocal online classes were complained with the circumstances and a technical point. Faculty of Arts and Crafts continued classes of the practical production and continued exhibition with restriction. Nevertheless, students' average estimation of classes is high as the latest one, and numbers of winners of contests is the same or rather increased. On the other hand, numbers of access to movies on YouTube substitute to concerts have not been increased drastically. What can we conclude from these findings? It seems nothing has happened after the pandemic, and as if we are living a world of illusion now. I think this is the nature of the pandemic, that is, it is so huge to accept it as a real matter. What or how do the future artists or musicians create or perform works in the near future? I'm not sure if the pandemic will leave their marks on the creativity. Well, brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Junko Konisi, for the very insightful presentation, a case study of the higher arts and music education in Japan. We learned so much from you, Prof, about how Papua dealing with the pandemic in order to prevent the coronavirus spreading by conducting remote teaching system and online event and other interesting findings. Okay, for those who want to discuss more, you can type a question in chat room, but we will read it later in the discussion section.
Okay.
Now the second presenter is Dr. Sita Hidayah. Dr. Sita Hidayah, are you here with us? Dr. Sita Hidayah is a junior lecturer. Okay, she is a junior lecturer at the Department of Anthropology, Faculty of Cultural Sciences, UGM. She obtained her PhD from University of Freiburg. She is skilled in travel photography and experienced in organizing transcultural collaborative workshop and researcher. She currently teaches European ethnographies, anthropology of religion, myth and media, and also multiculturalism. In this occasion, she will share about her research finding in a presentation entitled Generation Pandemic Responses to COVID-19, Youth's Affective Perspective on Pandemic. Please, Dr. Sita, you are welcome to start.
Thank you. I had already shared my screen. I hope you could see.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. First, I would like to thank you, the URP Forum and the organizer for providing me opportunity to share my research on youth perspective on COVID-19 pandemic. And I hope at the end of my presentation, we can have perhaps a little understanding how young people respond to the pandemic, and perhaps also understand our own society. So this was a straightforward research, because the proposal was made at the initial period of lockdowns at UGM at the time, and it was like the background of the research was that we would like to know how actually young people experience and also the response to COVID-19. The study seeks to understand COVID-19 as a system of meaning, as a system of shared experience and values that extend beyond the clinical sphere. We heard a lot about the clinical aspects of the COVID-19, and I think we would like to know young people perspective on who needs to care of it, I mean the COVID-19, and who and why young people care about COVID actually, and who deserve care. Some people would suggest that the young people are the factor of this COVID transmission because they are active and mobile. So this was the background of my research. The research, I used the conceptual framework of care and affect. This approach articulates a way of describing youth feeling and behaviors in a socially situated pandemic. And I think the concept of rasa is important because the concept of rasa in Javanese culture, actually, it covers a lot of feelings, affect, taste, and also intuition. So the word rasa, it covers so much in the Javanese society. And as Clifford Geertz suggests that rasa is a type of indirection and elusive suggestion that is so important in Javanese communication and social interaction. So the method of the research is actually an ethnographic, but at the time, the COVID restrictions are already in place. So there's a partial lockdown in many cities where we did our research, which was Jakarta and especially Semarang. But we did research in four cities: Jogja, Jakarta, Semarang, and Magelang, and we did so by selecting students from this area. So we did not travel actually to the site because of the COVID restriction. And during that time, it was quite challenging for us anthropologists because we could not actually build rapport. In anthropology, we required reciprocal and also a kind of a confidence in and trust in between the researcher and the research participant or informants, and we could not build that because our research was mostly intermediated by internet and social media. We managed to do interview and also participation observation, but only almost at the end of the field work. So it's quite challenging for us to actually have a confidence of like, did we get this right, like kind of feelings for us. And then there's also the boundaries issues. It's about trust and care, because to make sure security of and the health protocol between the researcher and the participant, we were like, it's not only the influence we want to protect from the infection actually, but we also afraid of actually getting infected, especially the research assistant who were in Jakarta, because at the time the cases was like really high, and it's actually the lockdown was like really stricter compared to other cities. And also we miss the social context and gesture. Sometimes we when we did interview, we could not get the context, the environment, the gestures, and also the perhaps the intimate feeling of like you will get it when you do in-depth interview in person. So it's for us it's quite difficult to understand when we heard or when we receive messages from participants via social media or email. So, and also the feeling of like fleeting behaviors and emotion, because I think at the time, especially because the research were conducted from May to July 2020, that was the highest, perhaps hopefully the highest period of COVID cases in Indonesia. So sometimes when we talk about something, or we talk about a certain policy and the policy is already changed, so we feel like, oh, but it changed now, so why did we talk about this sometime those kind of situations. So it's a bit like hard to have like a in-depth discussion about feeling, emotion, or anything basically. So, and this ethnography entails caring relationships. So, so it's a bit emotionally charged compared to the usual field work, and many of us had known somebody who were infected or having a COVID. So it was like also that disrupt the fieldwork process, because, for example, we could not make sure, because some of the participant was actually during the isolasi mandiri isolation because of he or she was in contact with someone with a positive COVID diagnosis. So that's the challenges. But I think in general, the research, we are lucky to manage to do this research, because we find a very insightful findings. For example, because these young people and students, especially withdrawn from education and working sectors, family was the only institution that protects young people. Like, that's how they feel, because when they were like withdrawn from the society in general, then they need to go back to the respective family. And I think the most interesting finding was that most of the students were called back by their parents. Actually, their parents immediately wanted them to come back. That's immediate response from the parents of these students, for example. And the main reason why research participants reduce their social interaction, I think some, not all, I mean, like some students are actually so-called violate the government restriction, but I think most of them have this consideration. They fear of infecting their family, especially their parents. That's why they did not go out, actually, and they really want to go out, but they are afraid of infecting their family and their loved ones. So I find it's very nice to hear from them. And most of them, we call it experience, what we call it, the social hallucination. I mean, they are connected in a way via internet, but they perception of social relation in the absence of emotional and physical intimacy. So if they feel like, I have this social hallucination, they feel like, because they are connected, but they did it in isolation from each other. So they were like, it's so weird that they the word from this is a quotation from the one of the interview. They said we experience this kind of social hallucination. And this research also finds that the importance of rasa in adapting to COVID measure. It means that trust and closeness between members of society and between parents and children are matter important. So we cannot just do these health protocol just as impersonal, and also and we usually focus more on the public setting and public social relation in the public, not in the familial context. And the role of socially and culturally situated notion of rasa in this term tenggang rasa, trust and obligation have contributed to the preventive infection measure in Indonesia. Of course, this is a bit early to be confident about the low rate of infection in Indonesia, but I think this is compared perhaps with other countries with a high number of population. Indonesia is actually have a quite low infection rate. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sita, for the presentation. It is very interesting to know how about young people respond to pandemic, where they have myriad feeling, right? And also, actually, they can contribute to reduce the severity of outbreak in Indonesia. Thank you very much. Next, the third presenter is a young and intelligent scholar who is now a PhD candidate in Cultural Geography Group from Wageningen University Research, Netherlands. Mr. Ruchita Rahma Ristiawan is a junior lecturer in Tourism Studies Program, FIB UGM. He got his master's degree in Tourism Heritage Sustainability from University of Glasgow, United Kingdom. He has been involved in many research in tourism studies, also in seminar, scientific publication, and conference. Now he will share his thought in the presentation entitled The Culture of Resource Production and the Production of Cultural Resources, a preliminary conceptual reflection on cultural resource management in the post-COVID era. Are you ready? Are you
Yes.
here with us?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
I think it's okay. Night time in Netherlands, right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is early morning here in the Netherlands. So yeah, it's
Okay,
only
okay. Now
5
time is
o'clock. So yeah.
okay. Okay. Now time is yours for 25 minutes, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mbak Zida. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Do you all see my screen? Just to check.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. To be honest, this is a kind of very precious opportunities and also occasions for me to deliver my preliminary conceptual reflections on cultural resource management in the post-COVID era. I think this is not that kind of very scientific results of my research, but this is kind of what is it? Kind of my preliminary conceptual reflections based on my personal reflections on the way I see the recent cultural resource management within the during the pandemics. And yes, my name is Ruchita Rahma Ristiawan, as Mbak Zida precisely delivered that I am now in the Netherlands. I'm still studying and pursuing my second year of my PhD here in Wageningen University and Research. And this is kind of a preliminary background of my conceptual reflections here. These pictures are a brief overview of recent situations of the pandemic impacts within our recent cultural resource management. And we can see here that the less income generated from cultural attractions, museums, heritage sites is resulted by the less visitors purchasing the commodities, both in form of tangible or intangible form. And this situation leads to my personal questions. What is actually happening? What should we produce? Why should we produce innovations for getting more economic benefits from cultural resource management? And if there are many innovation can be attempted, then why we need to worry about our future cultural resource management? And are we not satisfied enough with our recent innovations provided for the cultural resources management? And if yes, then why are we not satisfied with it? Is it related to our personal beliefs that less income generated because of the pandemic will make us in such kind of crisis conditions within the cultural resource management? And the most importantly, I would try to reflect what is crisis. And there are many questions that presently disrupt my personal thinking about the way I see pandemic. And there are also so many questions appearing within this presentation I deliver might be. And here, yeah, however, in an attempt to find the answer of my very might be silly questions, I try to recall what David Harvey said in his recent book entitled Marx, Capital and the Madness of Economic Reasons as a crisis within the pandemic area. He stated that crisis is kind of resulted from surplus commodities and surplus labor that is not yet being absorbed within the capital accumulation circuit. And if reflecting to the recent cultural resource management in these pandemic situations, this might be relevant if we see that the surplus of commodities with the values embedded in it, whether in the tangible or intangible form, are not being realized to be the surplus value. And here, the surplus of commodities need to find a new outlet in order to realize the values of commodities into surplus value. And yeah, this can be seen from so many attempts of finding new outlet for the commodities to be realized its values. And in other words, yeah, in the case of recent cultural resource management and tourism attraction, the value of cultural resource also needs to be realized in the market, and therefore it seems relevant in assuming that there are so many platform or outlet through embedded innovations being made right now in response to pandemic situation. For example, if we see so many virtual tours within the museum or monument or even tourism village, something like that. And this led to my own personal critical reflection and questions of how the values of cultural resources come from, and what kind of value in what kind of mode of productions. But I think the most importantly is what the so-called cultural resource do mean for us. And here, yeah, related to the resource productions. And here, to answer my previous questions, we can see the way Neil Smith, through his book entitled Uneven Geographical Development, published in 1982, elaborates the way nature and culture as part of it are something produced by the humans. Humans tend to see that the nature is a kind of external aspects of their everyday life. And this can be seen from the way we put meaning in something based on our constructed knowledge, experience, and needs. And yeah, I think, of course, this would lead to my further reflection and examinations of the way society will always in the social production of nature. And it is, yeah, it is related to the way we define, put meaning on something, creating something, and in the end reacting or behaving towards something we create. And here, culture appears as a part of nature which continuously produced and is produced by the society itself within the endless social reproductions. And in this stage, the continuous production itself includes the production of meaning, values, therefore one of locating, naming, and describing the condition under which the what so-called fierce little concentrations of meaning are fixed as good or important. And this is the starting point that we must always be followed by the obvious questions. Good and important for whom? And yeah, what is good for one class? I think what is good for one class, one group or individuals is not necessarily good for another. And thus, with the power to determine the situations within which is good is defined are usually those who get to determine what counts as good. And in this sense, I propose that the relatively simple starting point in my own analysis here of cultural resource production is by simply asking the questions, how are these values and cultural meanings created? And here, for the next slide, yeah, I will try to elaborate the production of culture and cultural values here. As stated by Fred English in his book entitled Cultural Studies, he describes the way culture appear as the system of humanly expressive practices by which value are renewed, created, and always contested. And this is in turn described that value is the name given to those fierce little concentrations of meaning in an action or state of affairs which fix as good or important. In this recent contemporary industrial and post-industrial realm, what is considered as good or important is largely determined through some market calculus. And this production of fierce concentrations of meanings will be more and more inserted into the logic of capitalist development, becoming important site for generations, not only related to the generation of values, but also surplus values can be described as a profit itself. And yeah, of course, this led to my further reflections on the way culture becomes such kind of resources in the capitalistic society, and more precisely, how are values produced, circulated, and consumed, and how does economic value provide a context within which social and cultural values are transformed or resisted. And yeah, this production of surplus value through the production of knowledge and cultures would be in many ways different with the production of surplus values of tangible commodities. It requires increasingly satisfied division of labor. That is, it requires people to do the work of cultural productions. And here I try to recall what Guy Debord elaborates in his classic account named The Society of the Spectacle. And he described that culture is the general sphere of knowledge and representations of lived experience. And what is important here is the power to generalize, existing apart as an intellectual division of labor and as the intellectual labor of divisions. And this can be a basis for us to further understand that the opportunities for better understanding of the production of culture can focus on who possess the power to generalize, to stabilize what they call culture of their own or the culture of others. And the point is that values, meaning knowledge about good and bad, about the truth and the false, about morals way of life, are embedded in the production of capitalist value. And here the production of culture refers to a system of meanings, a ways of life, an art as artifacts integral to the capitalist system. And in other words, it is a kind of field in which the so-called cultural product, for example, arts, heritage, are ready to be farmed for profit. And hence, it can be said that culture as a system and as a product of social production also appears as political economy. And I'm trying to getting back to my earliest thought and questions. I would argue that the appropriation of culture as commodities, as resource, will end within a crisis that might happen. In overcoming this, I'm thinking that the capitalist mode of production needs to find a new outlet to absorb the surplus, and this is precisely represented by the way the recent cultural heritage resource management are in the middle of crisis right now, as the surplus commodities is not absorbed appropriately by the market. And however, this is kind of my personal reflection as well. Here, I would like to recall what Rodney Harrison stated in his book entitled Heritage, a Critical Approach, regarding his account on the idea that there is no such thing as culture, as heritage. And even here, Don Mitchell, Marxist cultural geographer, also adds that even there is no such thing as culture, only differing arrays of power that organize society in this way or in that way. And by examining this, Don Michel, kind of suggesting that there is the only thing is there is only the idea of culture, idea that has developed under specific historical condition and was later broadened as a means of explaining material differences, social order, or relations of power. And we can see that here, the idea of culture has been developed and deployed in the modern and postmodern world as a means of attempting to order, control, and define others in the name of power and profit. And in relation to this, the way we see culture as in its material representations as work of arts, heritage, religious beliefs, styles, etc., will possibly ignores the way something we call culture participate in an ongoing hidden discourse that later in the end, this will guarantee the legitimacy of those who exercise power in the society. And what I would like to extend my discussions is related to the culture as infinite regress, as Donna Haraway suggests, that culture is essentially kind of a modernist concept that carves the unruly world as an object of knowledge, like modernist work of art. In this sense, the idea of culture is something that demands boundaries, age. In order to be analyzable, culture must become a bounded object that differentiate the world. And here, if culture is assigned its ontological status, if it is thinkable, then it must be definable in such kind of coherent and inclusive manner. And here, the way knowledge of the idea of culture shapes the behavior of society is also determining the so-called culture. And Bruno Latour said that the production of knowledge, like knowledge about culture, for example, is a process in which unstable lists of activities process are always contested by some parties seeking to define the world in their own terms. And when one party is more dominant, more victorious than the other, their claim of knowledge become reified. In this sense, this is precisely parallel with what Antonio Gramsci has been elaborated as hegemony. And here the knowledge is always contested. But it is certain that some forms of knowledge becomes more powerful than others, and therefore they become hegemony. And at this stage, culture is a kind of representation of others, which reifies, solidifies, as its objective reality is given by some powerful group within social relation. Sorry, and the idea of culture is not in this sense is not what people are doing. Instead, it is the way people make sense of they have done. It is the way activities are solidified, reified as culture. And here, further reflection appears as our task here is not to determine what culture is, but to determine how this kind of this idea of culture works in the society. In order to be more precise, the task for us is to determine how the idea of cultural resource works in the society. And here, reflecting on the present day's cultural resource management, based on my previous elaborations of the idea of culture and the way cultural meanings and values are being constructed, we can see that cultural meanings are literally located and written within landscape, streets, buildings, pedestrians, wall, etc. And here we also find that the way the idea of culture are being spectacularized within certain places, for example, in the museum or in the monument, it seems relevant that museum can represent the way societies seems to walk through exhibitions of material artifacts. And in the sense, what precisely is seen is as ordinary and everyday becomes recalibrated into something exotic and special by virtue of being in display. And it is related to what Don Michel states about cultural mosaic, that refers to the idea of that culture is something belonging to a place and people, and marking them as something special and distinct, and yeah, that it can be discovered, described, documented, and displayed within this logic. Yeah, and here I would like to take an example of the way heritage can be seen as both encouragement of particular identity for the tourist case, and the provision of public platform for local memorialism. And in this way of politically initiate and use heritage to meet certain needs will mostly related to the way underlying economic motives appear. And here, yeah, it seems appropriate to recall the way crises appear within the management of cultural resources. And here I would like to present some of my other reflections. The way the way idea of culture works in society, for whom does it work, in whose interest, the idea of culture deployed, and also what kind of relations of power are maintained through the ability of powerful social actors to halt its infinite regress. And to be more precise here, yeah, I think it might be important as well to also reflect regarding what kind of relation of power are maintained through the ability of powerful social actor to halt the idea of culture's infinite regress. And reflecting on that, I will continue my explanations to the way cultural industries appear as something determining the process of culture and social reproductions. And here, based on the capital accumulation logic in producing the cultures, I pick an important elaboration of Adorno and Horkheimer, who declares that culture is not entirely reducible to circulation of capital or commodities, but it cannot be separated from it precisely because it is through production that the idea of culture circulates. And here, culture is represented as part of a globally integrated system of social reproduction. And this social reproduction is induced and led by a set of industries that is designed to profit from the maintenance of certain kinds of difference between and within people. And here, the infinite regress of culture is halted in many instances by the process of making money from perceived difference. And yeah, these conditions will lead to my own reflections regarding the dimension of struggle and resistance within the production of cultural resource in capitalist society. And the so-called crisis offers more space of reflections for the way we produce and are produced cultural production and reproduction within society. This can be started by rethinking the role of cultural industries in controlling the meaning of what is being represented by working diligently to organize audiences and to control the multifarious everyday and sometimes quite spectacular acts. And here the contradiction appear, and as there are so many contested meaning making process based on the way idea of culture are always undergoing production and reproduction process, and hence the possibilities of revolt must be minimized. And this kind of condition puts marginalized social actor as the threat for the dominant power. And this situation will engender the struggle of justice and rights of cultures within social reproduction in capitalistic society. And that in many forms of cultural struggles, rebellion, etc., and And yeah, to be more contextual in the cultural resource management, displaying certain culture based on the dominant power interest will marginalize the so-called subversive form of culture. And we can see the example precisely from the way contested discourse are happening within certain museum, monuments, and etc. And the struggle about justice, however, is related to the what is just, what is right, and for whom within the space of cultural productions. And yeah, however, if the social production is mainly driven by the logic of capital accumulations, then the struggle of being represented in certain cultural reproduction space is the struggle to get acknowledged in the capitalistic realm. And the struggle of justice, as previously is in non-commodification zone, will become further commodifications, as precisely addressed by Nancy Fraser. And reflecting on this, I presume that the way complicatedness of this situation could open more space of discussions based on our cooperation in reflecting the way we produce knowledge and science in the academic environment that might also induce the prolonging process of might be marginalization and subordination within the scope of cultural resource management. And here, I'm not trying to suggesting such kind of alternative approach, but might be this can open further discussion related to the way we can co-produce and co-create such kind of alternative approach in seeing and in what is it, contributing to the development of cultural resource management. And here I try to recall what Noel Castres states about regarding the way science appear as inseparable field from the process of social productions. And science and theory in this sense is the culture itself, based on the way it constitutes concepts, objects, that in other words, science is not the object, but the constitution of concept of the object itself. And in this sense, I would borrow the terminology of cerning and discerning the knowledge from Nailsmith. And yeah, discerning refers to the way we make a boundaries, acknowledgement of our positionality, border. But in contrast, discerning is related to the openness of the border, the boundaries itself. We can do this at the same time, and by employing this approach for the context in which we determine the knowledge about what we assume as resources, and the way we articulate it within broader scope of social production can be a critical aspects in the acknowledgement of our own positionality as academics. Yeah, we as academics will also contribute to the proliferation of knowledge, discourse, and the power in which potentially dominating and subordinating the others as well. And here I would like to recall the important reflections based on James Scott's work in his book Sing Like a State, elaborating the failures of the so-called improvement based on the way superiority appear even within the discourse of scientific and knowledge productions. This is assumed as the way to further expand the scope of knowledge and science to be more participative and emancipative towards social production, and in this case, the cultural resource management. Yeah, here at least three aspects that I would like to propose. Actually, not proposing, but kind of making a stake point for our further discussion related to the cultural resource management. Yeah, in order to promote the more participative and emancipative approach in cultural resource management, these three aspects are co-learning, co-producing, and co-creating. And of course, yeah, there would also be endless discussion regarding the improvement of approach here. But here I assume that this can be a little contributions also as a part of the participative approach in further extend the cultural resource management improvement. And by examining this, the way we construct the idea of culture would address some stake points. And yeah, I borrowing the notions of conviviality from Bram Basher and Robert Fletcher in their recent book of Convivial Conservations, I assume that transformatively perceive cultural resource as something embedded in our everyday life instead such kind of spectacularizations through many platforms would accommodate and expand the way we function culture as something more than commodities. And subsequently, it will also co-productively transform the way we engage with cultural resource as something more important than commodities, something we live in and live for. And yeah, lastly, considering the reflection of our positionality as academic, sometimes we are trapped within the room of superiority in which we can be the domain of power in producing the knowledge regarding cultural resources. And here, the way proposal of transformation from privatized, expert technocratic to common democratic engagement refers to the way the opportunities of shared knowledge, shared production, and yeah, most importantly, shared learning process can be open in broader sense. And yeah, this is the way I reflect on my own positionality, that here the role of academic in the cultural resource productions, as Donna Haraway argues, that knowledge, theory, science are always implicated in wider discursive economies, particular theoretical claims about the world, however powerful and useful, have semantic and practical effects. And yeah, this is, I'm not trying to propose this discussion as a solution, but instead I propose this discussion as a part of the co-learning process for the further process of learning related to the way we should undergo such kind of improvement process in the cultural resource management context. And here, yeah, all in all, it is better to say that this is not the result of having learned everything about the topic, and instead this is the beginning of learning what there is to know. I thank you very much for the time. That's all for me, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rucita atau Mas Awang, for your reflection on the possible alternative view of emancipative and participative cultural resource management in the post-COVID era. I highlighted, I think this is the important notion about good and important of cultural resources, defining good and important and for whom it is good and important. I think it is very interesting, and we can elaborate and explore your idea more in the discussion session later. Okay, in subsequent presentation, which is also very interesting, about television industry in new normal era, will be presented by Dr. Retno Mustikawati. Are you here with us, Dr. Retno Mustikawati? I guess so.
Yes, of
Okay.
course, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Dr. Retno Mustikawati is a lecturer of Film and Television Studies Program, Faculty of Recording Media Arts, Institut Seni Indonesia Yogyakarta, and currently she is also the Vice Dean in the Faculty of Recording Media Arts. She got her doctoral degree in global studies from Shanghai University in 2020 and already published several articles in international journal. In this seminar, in this forum, she will share and discuss her idea in the paper entitled Television Industry on New Normal, the Beginning of the Disruption and Globalization. Please, Dr. Retno, you are welcome to start.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Carlina, Maizida, and also good morning, everyone. But before I start my presentation, please allow me to extend my warmest greetings to all the colleges from Osaka State University, especially to Professor Sing Nakagawa. Pak Nakagawa, how are you? O genki desu ka? Apa kabar? Ketemu lagi. It's very nice to see you again. Although now it's by online, but, and also all the colleges from UGM and EC Yogyakarta. Yes, here I would like to share with you But this is based on my thoughts, or I just want to share an idea about the television industry in the new normal. And according to my title, the beginning of the disruption and localization with the question mark. So why is television industry? Because television industry nowadays is something that is very close to us. But nowadays there are maybe, or do you still watch TV recently, or do you still remember what kind of programs do you watch on television? So let's talk about it. Maybe I just want to share and have a little discussion about this television industry. Okay, so here now I would like to take you to have a look at what is what is going on today in television industry in the new normal. In this case, in Indonesia case, of course, and you can see here today is the massive global effort to curb COVID-19 has brought unprecedented changes in the way the media and entertainment industry operates. Of course, all the industries now, everything is also hit by the coronavirus pandemics, and also all the industry itself. Of course, about the revenue and also income, etc. Why? Because due to quarantine and social distancing regulation, as we have to do our social distancing, and the television production now has suddenly probably come to a deadlock. Because if we think and we talk about the television industry, of course, we have to think about the television production. We talk about this television production. Television production means they have the industry, the workers works in this industry, they have to make a production, or outside, inside means they have to do it in studio or outside. But nowadays, because of this pandemic, it can be a big problem for this industry. Okay, so the broadcast networks are adjusting to accommodate disruption in the content supply chain. So the problem is nowadays is how the television industry provide the content supply chain. And additionally, with the majority of the population isolating themselves in their homes because we cannot go out, yeah, just like the old days, the demand for digital video recording, video on demand, and streaming services are increasing, of course, because we are stay home, and we nowadays we have so many digital platforms, yeah, and the television is this still the first priority for us to be watched? So that's a big question. It's an interesting question. And here I come to the question. Is Indonesia's TV industry late? I mean, this late is responding the in responding the COVID-19 pandemic situation. Let's see. The shifting of society to digital does not mean that people give up their viewing or watching habits. Maybe they are still watching television nowadays, but only they switch the medium. So you can watch TV on YouTube nowadays. You can watch TV on your smartphones. But how about this television industry itself? Yeah, so maybe here everybody think about this very scientific, but me, because I personally, my bachelor degree I gained from the ISI Yogyakarta television department, but because of the times goes by, and then we now become the department of film and television, because maybe in the responding to the future demand. Okay, let's see. In terms of technology itself, if compared to, let's say, Europe and America, they have turned off their analog signal. long before 2010, but Indonesia is actually planned to completely stop the analog only in June 2020. So it's really close to the when the outbreak started. So this outbreak started, and then but actually Indonesia only planned completely stop analog for the television. Means that we are not really ready yet with the a digital world. Um, Okay, and the pure entertainment means it's something that you produce. If you are in the television industry, so you do the production. And this pure entertainment is just the program that make people happy. That's it. Okay, so it's like because nowadays the consumer behavior is now very segmented. It means that one content cannot be consumed for all people with different levels. If you talk about Indonesia, Indonesia is large. So even for the technology, Indonesian people, they have very levels, in different levels in the technology development, for example, the internet. Yeah, if you live in Java Island, maybe it's so much easier for you to have a very good access for the internet. But if you live in Papua or somewhere out in the remote area, it can be a problem too. And later we know this term. This term is the term for the disruption. Yeah, according to Oxford College of Marketing, the digital disruption, we talk about the digital disruption here, is a transformation that is caused by emerging digital technology. So, but actually, the most important thing here is in the last sentence, I think. Okay, and this is the term, why the term of disruption is used. Because as the emergence of these new digital products or services or businesses disrupts the current market and causes the need for the re-evaluation. So I think this is the key word, is the re-evaluation. Means we cannot delay it. It is maybe we need to re-evaluation. So re-evaluation needs something to do with it. And digital disruption will only start because of the large gap between digital and non-digital media. But even in Indonesia, we still have the gap for the technology development or the technology internet availability. So this is another problem. So this in the second phase will be this one, the between digital and non-digital media. So means that according, in my opinion, that disruption in Indonesia is not yet begun. It's just only started. Okay, now the disruption, is it positive or is it negative? What do you think? So most people misinterpret this as meaning the process of digital disruption is always negative, which is like negative because that is an attack on their business. But wait a minute, we have to think about in reality, maybe, or is it so? It is only a negative force for those who chose to ignore it or try to fight it. Those who embrace it often find it can benefit their business in various ways and contributing to their success. Still think so? Because nowadays we cannot deny that we have many digital platforms, and you can use and you can watch today, and then you cannot run from it. And this is what happened in the television industry. How about the television then? What should we do in the television industry? So the thing is that maybe it's a very important is we have to embrace it, but how? Okay, and how to embrace this disruption. So the problems arise in this disruptive media, And the research that released by the ICI, they found that the COVID-19 pandemic had the most impact on media business income and revenues. Some people say that maybe YouTube or another digital media platform now still cannot compete with the television because the television have the impact and revenues. But research say that 70.2% of respondents answered their company has been affected by the pandemic, because the pandemic is maybe it's almost 2 years from now, I think. Yeah, and it's not. We still don't know when it will be will finish. We don't know. Yeah, let's pray that is will finish soon. And the most complaint of this the decline in ad revenue and fewer sponsors and users. Why? Because the sponsor, of course, they run to another digital media platform. They run to YouTube. They run to Netflix, because they now you can watch movie everywhere. Even you can watch movie from Gojek. Is that right? Yeah, because you can easily click on it and then you can watch film there. Means that this one is fewer users. And also this the problems. The next problem is in the development of the media, because there is a change in the attitude of the audience. However, it is actually difficult to determine whether this change in audience attitude was due to technology disruption, or if technology disruption was due to changes in audience behavior. In the case of Indonesia, which one? Which one? Or the first one is the attitudes change first, and then because the attitudes of the audience attitude change, and then become the technology disruption and cause the technology disruption, or it vice versa. And how is the sustainability of the television industry during the new normal? Okay, so of course this one is we need to talk about the how about the production, how about the contents, etc. Okay, now I'm trying to make a little research that the role of the media and government. Maybe the media and the government have the same focal point. During this pandemic, the ethics and regulation of the delivery of information to the public must consider various impacts. Because they are now, let's say, in television industry now is in danger or needs something to think about it. So, but they also have to consider the various impacts if they want to embrace this disruption era that is about to begin, I think. And in essence, the media is positioned depending on the manager who receives the information. In this case, of course, the social media provides many opportunities for parties in an effort to support a policy, even resistance to a policy. Because the social media is very easy to be used to do anything, almost. Yeah, it's very fast. Okay, so this is what we need to think about. Okay, so now I have the new normal and the new facts and also new adaptation. The COVID-19 pandemic causes massive income inequality, of course, as well as in television industry, because the cultural value will shift away from the short-term materialism toward a more socially beneficial ethic, a realization that we are all in this situation together. But now is we begin, and you realize it or not, but we begin to untie our interconnected world, because now we cannot travel around the world maybe. But if you go for study, maybe okay, you are welcome then. But if you are Indonesian now, I think it's a little bit different if you go outside, and then they think about Indonesia. Oh my God, it's so many people there that with infected with the COVID-19, and then it's very restricted if you go. And this means that we began to untie our interconnected world, at least as for the physical movement is a concern. The goods and also the travel restriction to lower the virulent spread of diseases, of course. And I'm sure that everybody know about this term. So what do we do now? How about globalization? Okay, we live, of course, in the global world. Globalization is nowadays we live in. But how about globalization? Is it maybe the future for the sustainability for the television industry? Yeah, uh, uh, you can see maybe we need a new kind of globalization, one predicated not on economic growth but on environmental awareness and economic equity. If you talk about the economic equity, of course, industry is inside of it. But industry inside of it and industry for the, if you close to your daily life, television industry, yes, inside of it. And if you can see here, according to the sociologist Viktor Rudemotov, points out the exhibition in Germany that used with the local is offering a representation of links along and across spatial scales in relationship to the goal of developing bridges relating local to regional to national and to global levels for the purposes of environmental research and management. Yeah, but this one is, I think, is quite narrow understanding. But we need something new. Is the new globalization? I mean, in terms of television industry, means that you have to include the restriction of maybe for people who travel or the goods also. And what might a move toward a more sustainability television industry look like in the wake of the coronavirus? I think, and I believe it will be a building or establish a network of societies in which people really do live much more locally, but think much more globally. So here maybe I can I try to have make a summary for the recommendation for television industry in the new normal, perhaps. Yeah, maybe I also would like to hear some other recommendation from this special occasion. How about this television industry? I think these are some recommendation. Media companies need to issue various directives and policies that are able to support the productivity and maintain the fundamental function of the media. Okay, and the television industry also must work together with the social media and also the local influencer, because nowadays, if you talk about nowadays situation, you are very familiar with this influencer from YouTube influencer, yeah. But Carlina is smiling. Maybe she's one of the influencer, and social media will be more easily accepted if you have, or you put an influencer there. Or maybe the television industry also think about like that, and then they have to embrace this social media or local influencer and reach more potential consumers, because this is what they need, and they have to do it. And what influencer, because the influencer act as virality, yeah, or creative storytellers, even with their own language styles. Yeah. And to able to compete, the television must be a local content provider and specialize in certain segments. So who their audience is. So they have to know for sure that who their audience, and make similar short shows on YouTube or another platform, I think. because nowadays even everybody can make content, and you can easily put and easily upload it on YouTube, and then you wait for the viewers on subscriber. Yeah, and this is maybe in television also no more long hours viewing, no more long hours watching, no more long hours program. And in order to survive, the television industry needs to change its broadcast format. For example, by increasing citizen journalism, because now everybody maybe have, or almost everybody has a smartphone, and they can easily record something. And that's a part of the citizen journalism. Okay, now I come from the conclusion. The conclusion is Indonesia is actually not fully turned towards digital media. In fact, the era of disruption has only just begun. And the pandemic is actually triggers and or speed up the disruption era in Indonesia, yeah, is started. And television is not going to be abandoned, not yet. Because on the other hand, the digital media is also not fully ready. I mean, in the case of Indonesia. And with the reduction of live programming, broadcasters are changing priorities as they look to source content in new ways. So they have to make a new ways to find the content, to produce the contents. And globalization seems an ideal term for conceptualizing the complexities of environmental linkages and always simultaneously local and global, and sped up greatly by the action. So we need the action and some action to actually make this television industry keep on going. Or, okay, so that's a come for conclusion, and thank you. So I will giving back to you, Mbak Carlina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Retno, for sharing your idea and recommendation about how television industry can survive in the era of pandemic, not only in the era of pandemic, but also in the disruptive media. Yeah. I personally don't watch television anymore since 7 years ago and switched to YouTube. But now I think it's not interesting anymore because too much advertisement on YouTube. Okay, and you also share your idea about the possibility of new kind of localization due to a pandemic. Thank you very much, Dr. No. And the last presenter for today forum is Mr. May Artanto, MA. Are you here with us, Mr. May Artanto?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Mr. May Artanto from Institut Seni Indonesia. He is a lecturer in music education undergraduate program, Faculty of Performance, Institut Seni Indonesia, Yogyakarta. He is also actively participating as a flute player in some orchestra in Indonesia. Flute instrument has been his major since undergraduate, and he also write on many occasions. He obtained a master degree from UGM in 2015. And this occasion, he will present his research finding in the paper entitled The Existence of Keroncong Music During the COVID-19 Pandemic, an Opportunity and Functional of Music Technology. Please, Mr. May, you are welcome to start.
Okay, thanks. Can you hear my voice, Mbak Maizida?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks for the 18 Urban Research Plaza Committee for the opportunity given to be able to present at the seminar, exchange the information, idea, and methodology for overcoming current COVID-19 condition through arts and culture. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. On this occasion, I will present the result of observation that have been made with the title "The Existence of Keroncong Music During the COVID-19 Pandemic: An Opportunity and Function of Music Technology." We all know that the COVID pandemic outbreak limit a variety of people activities. And music performance and music instruction are no exception. In fact, it can be said that this pandemic paralyzed all activities when it first started, including keroncong music. The COVID-19 pandemic has made all sectors of life unable to run normally. And one that has a big impact is keroncong music, where the performance and learning process of keroncong music in the end is difficult to do. In fact, keroncong music performance and learning keroncong music are two important activities for the continuity of keroncong music in Yogyakarta, including for the life of keroncong musician and for effort to preserve keroncong music. This situation can be seen from the information conveyed by the interview. The first is a keroncong musician and the second is a music teacher. First, an account from Mamat. He is a keroncong musician. Pardon me, before the pandemic, I always performed keroncong music almost every day. And now there is no performance at all due to this pandemic. Mamat is violinist in keroncong. He give informant that before the COVID-19, almost every day he had a schedule for playing keroncong, such as training with keroncong groups, playing keroncong music in hotels, restaurants, and other. This means that before the COVID-19 pandemic occurred, keroncong music activity were indeed mostly carried out by keroncong musicians. And then, second, an account from Revi. COVID-19 certainly restricts interaction among people. Previously, I need to interact with my student during keroncong music instruction. Virtual classes are a big challenges, and I have difficulties teaching new materials while practicing at the same time. Revi is a music teacher who teaches keroncong music at Taman Muda Jetis Elementary School. During the pandemic, keroncong music learning activities cannot be done. This is because there is not interaction between teacher and student, so that when you want to give example of how to play the keroncong instrument, it cannot be done properly. And then the two information above then make us think of finding alternative ways so that music performance activity and music learning can be carried out. That condition forces to think of ways to preserve the existence of keroncong music amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in the context of performance and instruction of keroncong music in Yogyakarta. The use of music technology in keroncong music performance and instruction is the right choice. Music technology in this context is the right choice, I assume, because through the use of music technology at least, musical performance can be done virtually, such as recording music and making video calls with several musicians or doing live streaming. As for music learning, music technology can be used to create or develop learning media, which of course goes through a fairly complex process. This means that music technology has offered this opportunity even before the COVID-19 pandemic. Music technology was widely used in our musical activities. Okay, based on the explanation and the beginning of this presentation, I have two questions that are relevant in this context are obtained. My first question, what are the opportunity and function of music technology in attempt to preserve the existence of keroncong music? And then second question, what are the advantages of using music technology in keroncong music activities? I hope that through these two questions, we can find out the procedure and method of using music technology in maintaining artistic activities in the society during a pandemic, especially keroncong music. Furthermore, to answer these two questions, a method is needed in this research, and practice-based research in the method in this research. Practice-based research investigate creating work to gain new knowledge through work creation and the work created. In order to reveal insight from such work creation and the work to have a good and comprehensive understanding, practice-based research might also engage practitioner or artists in order that such investigation into creative works result in various possible insights that can be explained, both general and specific ones. And practice-based research was choose as the research method because I was involved in the creative process of the two examples in this presentation. This means that with my direct involvement, it can be said that there is no distance between me as researcher and the art practice that I research and what I do. And through this involvement, I can freely see connectivity from every part of the art practice process. Okay, the researcher participation is described as follows. The first, active participant in the Keroncong Pelesiran 4.0 hybrid performance, a combination of live performance with a limited number of audience and implementation of health protocols, and a virtual performance rerun via streaming. And second, arrangement of -1 for Keroncong musical instrument as learning media, which then supported by conflict to speaker and practitioner involved. It can be said that music technology has an important function in these two processes. Through the use of music technology, it is possible to carry out keroncong music activities. And for the context of presentation, I use the definition and meaning of music technology referred to by Den Hosken. According to Den Hosken, in the book An Introduction of Music Technology, explained music technology is a broad term, and in fact, technology cannot be separated from any musical activity. Even acoustic musicians use it. Therefore, it can be concluded that music technology that includes software, hardware, knowledge concept, as well as work and technical procedures is an important element and a companion of any musical activities, including to compose the music, push creativity, teaching, performance, and opening up new perspective to music. Based on this explanation, music technology is not only in terms the use of software and hardware for the music making process, but the concept of knowledge and skill in using tools is also included in it. And technology in this context can also be interpreted as the notion of technology in art from Alfred Gell, who explained that technology is a skill of certain technique that can present the enhancement of an object or activity, such as a skill or the ability to play keroncong music instrument that make keroncong music have enhancement or aesthetic value. So in the context of this presentation, music technology is broadly defined, which does not only talk about software and hardware, but include the knowledge concept and skill in utilizing musical technology tools. Okay, and as far as the observation involvement of researcher for these two examples, it can be said that music technology has two functions. First, music technology can serve as system control in a music performance related to both the use of music technology equipment and performance techniques in musician and sound engineer. In the first function, music technology became a control system in music performance. But in the use of music technology equipment, such as mixer or microphone, and performance techniques such as instrument playing skill and skill maintaining the sound quality of the sound system. So that in music performance, the present mastery of music technology as a control system is very important, especially when live recording. Second function, music technology can function to support, extend, and improve improve musical instruction or learning in order to inspire, motivate, and enrich student musical experience regardless of distance and location. Technology can also improve musical skill, knowledge, and understanding, and teacher or instructor play a supporting tool in learning process. Music technology can also be used to assist the learning process, and for the second function, it is still not used optimally, especially for practice-based learning, such as keroncong music. So last year, I have research that focus on making and design -1 for 7 keroncong instrument, flute, violin, cukcak, cello, guitar, and bass as a learning media for learning keroncong music. And hopefully, this year the research can be continued as an effort to develop quality. The function of music technology as a control system can be seen in the keroncong pelesiran 4.0 hybrid performance. In November 2020, keroncong pelesiran 4.0 was held using a hybrid model by combining live performance in outdoor with a maximum of 100 audience and implementation of health protocol and virtual performance rerun via streaming. The selection of this hybrid model required optimal use of music technology during keroncong pelesiran 4.0, especially during the live performance, which recording was the used for the virtual performance rerun via streaming. An example, live recording of orchestra, keroncong, and combo band in outdoor performance requires special treatment, such as the use of a spot microphone, the use of dynamic microphone for wind instrument like Shure SM58 or 57, and the use of condenser microphone for string instrument like Saruni SEM01 clip-on. Then during the mixing process, in addition to the technical procedure in digital audio workstation, it is also necessary to understand the musical concept such as knowledge of orchestra, how to read score, like how to read score or part, keroncong, and band music, especially related to the dynamic in the music. Lastly, as the recording will be run streaming and the mastering state, it is processed into loud -12 decibel. Based on this explanation, music technology has an important and complex role. This means that the final result of the quality of music heard by the audience, both in person and at home, lies in the mastery of music technology from sound engineer and musician. The entire team in the keroncong pelesiran 4.0 so has a role in producing good audio and music quality. And there is one of the results from the live recording at keroncong pelesiran 4.0, which combined with concert picture.
Sol do re mi sol cenang total keal keol. Mire tahu tempe nak rasane. Waktu terang bulan, udara bersinar terang, teranglah sekali di kota lah Yogyakarta. Belum berapa lama saya duduk dengan tenang, datang kawan saya Mas Boris duduk namanya. Ayo rame-rame ke kota Tanjung Perak, panggil satu taksi kita bersorak bersama. Tanjung Perak, tepi laut, siapa suka boleh ikut, bawa gitar dan viol, jangan lupa bawa anggur.
Okay, furthermore, there is no one example of the use of music technology and combining with video editing capabilities, namely making video collage. And this video collage has been done by many musicians as a way to keep their musical activities during the pandemic. Please.
Pesanmu telah kuterima sore lalu. Telah ku baca apa yang jadi bintangmu. Kau sentuh hatiku dengan tulisanmu. Tak terasa menetes air mataku.
Okay. For this -1 arrangement, furthermore, the function of technology in helping the learning process, I have idea for create -1. For this -1 arrangement, software, hardware, knowledge, as well as work and technical procedure of music technology were used optimally. Sample of music technology utilization. For selection of musicians with skill to play keroncong musical instrument using good techniques, and then selection of musical material to be performed in the -1 also requires understanding of the possibility whether all musical material can be brought into the -1 or not. Formulation of strategies for recording process in the studio recording, such as a selection of multi-track recording as a method to collect keroncong musical instrument audio data. Preparation of guides for live recording in different rooms, like one keroncong musical instrument in the recording rooms and another instrument in the operator's room. And then the mixing process use organic mixing to bring out the old quality of keroncong music and so on. In this process, researcher involve experienced keroncong musician, including those who can read music part. Furthermore, the recording process is carried out in a recording studio with an experienced sound engineer. This means that in the process of making this -1, various considerations for the use of music technology are carefully took out, and the goal is to have good quality audio and music, and in accordance with the needs in learning keroncong music. Here are some examples of the result of making -1. So in this presentation, there are 4 examples. The first to the third audio are examples of basic playing for the 5 keroncong instrument, namely chuk, chak, cello, guitar, and bass, with the technique of playing quartet, ankle, double. Ankle technique. Double technique. Okay, and then after the 3 techniques are owned, then you can try to use 4 example with the keroncong Morisco song. This 4 example is an advanced stage after having basic playing technique like this. From this result of making -1, I have 39 audio that can be used in learning keroncong music. And then based on this explanation, I have two conclusions. And my first conclusion, music technology with a variety of definition concept. Okay, sorry. Music technology with a variety of definition, concept, insight, function, and use procedure offer considerable opportunities for music development, both in the context of music performance such as Keroncong Pelesiran 4.0, like music technology function as system control, and in the learning process such as the arrangement of -1 for Keroncong musical instrument as learning media, like music technology serves to support, extend, and improve the instructional process. And next, my conclusion. The use of music technology in keroncong music activities helps maintain the existence of keroncong music. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, activities are restricted, including musical activities. It's keroncong. But music technology enables a variety of performance modes such as virtual, like video college, and then hybrid, like live performance and rerun via streaming, and live streaming performance. Moreover, music technology can function as learning media, specially designed for practice-based music instruction. Okay, that is my bibliography. Thanks very much for attention.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. May Artanto, for your interesting finding about procedure and methods for the use of music technology in maintaining community artistic activities during the pandemic, especially keroncong music. I really enjoying the keroncong performance that you saw earlier in your presentation. Okay, now we still have plenty of time. I hope this will be enough for us to have discussion. We welcome participant who wants to give a question to all presenter here. You can unmute the microphone and set the video on. Is there any participant who wants to deliver the question? Okay, while we are waiting, maybe I will read the question in a chat room that some of participants already wrote earlier. For Professor Junko Konisi, I know you already answered it in chat room, but I think it's a great opportunity for us to hear directly from you, Professor Junko. I will read it again. Okay.
So, yeah, I learned.
There are two questions, Prof. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I learned from questions the similar problem happened in Indonesian music schools as well. And the questions are about the upward circumstance more precisely. And I explained that some of the students did not participate after they were opened the classes of practices in music. It is caused by themselves, or their parents do not want to send schools for under the pandemic situation. So it was one question to my answer. The other one is that the circumstance of upward students are based not only in Okinawa, but also many students come from other places such as Tokyo, Osaka, other places. So many music practice students went back to their home and they continue to practice their own performance. So it's a little bit problem because our opera did not support their performance rather than we leave them. So it's a problem. So I think this situation is not will be very severe for the students, but they do not see their complaint to school or teachers, or they are more thinking about teachers, because teachers are very rushing up to prepare everything for schools. They very thinking of the teachers and accept their own circumstances and go back to their home. But I think it is not a good thing for artists and students and younger generation. But kind of this reaction is very Japanese style as well, I think. To keep quiet and to close. So I fear that the pandemic situation damaged students, but we cannot see how the students were damaged by the pandemic. And so during this session, I am very sympathetic and so feel the same thing is Sita's notion introduce social hierarchy issue. I think that it's similar to the Japanese students too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Junko. I think we have similar situation also, and thank you for example about the practice in Opua. Okay, and next, okay, I think I will read a question from Te Bramantyo to Mr. Ruchita Rahma. Thank you for the great speech, but to reflect a bit about Indonesian Taman Budaya cultural centers, their function mostly to organize cultural festival with the intention to promote local tourism. What do you think this cultural management success stories, if any? Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Bramantyo. Here, this is kind of very thought-provoking questions you've successfully delivered. But here, and also I have a kind of difficulties if you ask me about the success story, because in my personal opinion, success would be related to the very relative indicators. Success by whom and in what missions. I mean, like if we talk about the missions of promoting tourism, this might be a kind of success resulted from the way cultural festivals are being organized in the platform of Taman Budaya. But here, if we talk about the way such kind of cultural products are being being represented for the intentions of economic needs, this might be something something more beyond that. Like I would say that yeah, for example, if we talk about culture is not as simply as commodities, in my personal opinions, but it is more than commodities. It is the way we live in and the way we live for. Like yeah, for example, if we talk about dimension of culture, for example, Mr. Hedi Sri Ahimsa describes the dimension of culture as a form of knowledge that has a kind of sense of belonging between people and place. But it has been criticized by Mr. Farouk that in his book Poetic Nationalism, that if something if culture appears as a knowledge, then there is no dimension of the ownership. Knowledge appears as something universal. Everyone, every people within this planet can be or can have those kind of knowledge, and this is the way participative approach in tourism can be attempted through the way tourism can be more inclusive and more participative, not treating culture as a commodities, but something as a learning process. So this is what I would like to propose, that yeah, some people label this kind of thinking as a post-capitalism scheme, but in the end, yeah, I would try to propose the way we can co-produce and co-learn the production of culture within cultural heritage management context. And I think that's my answer. And thank you very much, Mr. Bramantio and Mbak Zida.
Thank you very much. Okay, we still have time. So please, if you have any question for the all presenter, you can directly deliver to the presenter. Okay, is there any? Well,
excuse me, can I ask
yes.
Shida?
Sure.
About if I missed to listen, to please explain about, you mentioned about the participant participant observation for your research internet. So how is the notion of participant observation using the internet? Explain, please, if it is possible.
Okay, this question for Dr. Sita. Okay.
Thank
Dr.
you,
Sita?
Professor Jungo. I think I wasn't clear about the progression of my research process. So it was actually, we want to do participation observation, but then the partial lockdowns was implemented. So we shift the participation observation only to some kind of like a discussion. But at the end of the research period, it was probably around end of July and August. Basically, we managed to visit the participants and join them in their daily life, but it was only very little time. So, and most of the time we try to get the context, but no longer we focus on like an interview, because we did interview via internet or social media. That's the problem. So we could not do a participant observation intermediated by internet. We could not do that, but we did at the end, because the restriction was lifted from Jakarta to Magelang and Jogja. So that's I wasn't clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sita. We also welcome all presenters to have a question or discuss each other about the idea or about something that you all already present in this forum. So please. Okay.
Yeah, Mbak Zida. Yeah, I might have not that kind of long questions to Dr. Retno related to the way the idea of globalizations appear as something as the as one of the important aspects of your research. If you don't mind, can you please kind of extend the explanations the way global and local could be such kind of very distinctive things in these recent situations?
Yeah, thank you for the questions. Yeah, but I think I have to do the maybe a little analog. Is it okay if? Yeah. Nowadays in Indonesia, they are really, especially for the young people, they are really crazy about the Korean. Is it right? Maybe you're also part of it. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so this Korean wave is called the Hallyu because I used to have a little research about this, and I wrote my journal about this Hallyu, and because this Hallyu is make something that we call maybe is really connected to the localization. They all try to nowadays the first wave. So we have two waves of Hallyu, the Korean wave. So the first is about the K-pop, is the singer, is the boy band, is the girl band, and but the second phase now is now about the culinary, about the cosmetic, and how they want to enter the Indonesian industry because the government say that it's always deal with the halal things. So they think about okay, this the cosmetic in Korean cosmetic is not halal for Indonesian people, and then they try to make something that okay, what is the ingredients that is in Indonesia called halal. So they start to do the research of it, and then they adjust it. And for example, also the culinary also for example, the food of called samgyeopsal, if you know, is just like but with they cook with the pork, and then but now in Indonesia they change into the beef, something that because in Indonesia they are welcome and because it's halal. So in this kind of situation, I think it's in television industry also needs something to do with this. For example, in my opinion, the people in television industry, they have to be more creative in producing a program that is really have the locally rooted. This is, I think I also see on your screen that is locally rooted. But I agree with that. But I still also think about this for further because as but Carlina also said, oh no, since 7 years ago I didn't watch television anymore. So this is something or we need to do with this. What is a kind of a local thing that we need to make it as maybe for eye catching or the center of interest or focus of interest that we believe it as the very interesting part of the television industry if it's local. But what is it? So I also need some ideas maybe, or maybe you also you guys maybe the young people. I see this, you are very young. Mas Ruchita is very young, I know. And then maybe you can have a very brilliant idea about this locally thing that we need to propose for the television industry as the local base. So I think I also still find the right thing to be delivered as the locally thing that is maybe will be very interesting for the television industry to lift it. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, just respond to Dr. Retno's answer quickly because
Sure.
like you said precisely that in my presentations there is
Yeah.
locally rooted, globally respected. It's kind
Yeah.
of slogan of UGM. But yeah, some of my friends just try to make such kind of critical reflections because there will be no locally rooted, globally respected anymore, but locally rooted, globally disconnected, because there is no such thing literally global and literally local right now because of the time-space compression. So yeah, that's just silly joking. But yeah, thank you very much for the answer.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
think I'm going to agree with that. I think so. So it's globally disconnected, maybe, but I hope not. We still have a way, maybe. Okay, back to you, Mbak Carlina. Okay.
Thank you. We hope not. Okay. Okay. Next, in the chat room, this is for Mr. May Artanto from Prasetyo Aditama. From your explanation, I want to ask a question about how to develop maintaining the existence of keroncong music during the pandemic. Do you have any further thought about it? Please, Mr. May.
Okay, thanks for the question, Mr. Prasetyo. In my opinion, that is true. Mastery of music technology. We can distribute our work through various media, and most importantly, for the preservation of keroncong music, it is not only about how we do many musical performance, but also how we concert on developing keroncong music through education. And during pandemic, we as practitioner or academic can create and develop learning media to be used as material and media in learning music. Because this I don't think much has been done. And now that what we encounter a lot is more about virtual performance, and this important for me. But education is also important related to how we develop many learning media, and maybe is my answer for question from Mr. Prasetyo Adi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. May Artanto. We still have 5 minute time for discussion. Maybe one or two question will be enough for the first day forum. Okay, to Dr. Sita from Adya Arsita. Your research is very interesting yet intriguing in the way this research would like to seek for the rasa, which is highly related to intimacy, but the research was conducted using the digital ethnography. I'm curious to know whether this affected how the whole data was formulated and elaborated, and how did the youth find the multidimensional impact from COVID-19 had probably created an inequality of their skill building opportunity, in this case, in responding to the pandemic. Thanks. Please, Dr. Sita.
Thank you, Mbak Adya. I think there are a lot of findings I did not share here, but I think we also realized, for example, we immediately find that there is a digital gap, like among our participants. So some participants who lived in Jakarta actually have a better access to internet, and also I think better skills in not only consuming information or to work with new digital technology, but also they most of them are actually already producing contents in the internet. So the majority of participants from Jakarta, they had already in that level, but then the students in Magelang, for example, they do not have even some of them have no stable internet, and they usually only basically consume information or use social media. They do not produce content other than just posting on the social media. So we realized that we need to be more open to differences and inequality, for example. But we try to meet all of them in person once the COVID restriction was lifted. We immediately try to maybe revisit our conversation and our discussion, because but yeah, so I think it's interesting how actually this COVID pandemic actually opened up asked about the digital gap among students. We tend to see, because of this democratization, because internet is democratic in inherently democratic. That's the idea is completely wrong based on our. But we need a different research formulation, research problem and question based on that. But that's our perhaps what we get from our previous research. And so, and we also I think the way I present the result, it tends to be like a homogeneous experience, but actually it's not. It's not homogeneous at all, because some students have a better support than the others. For example, their parents are actually not affected by COVID pandemic, and the government support reach their needs. But some students were left actually alone, and some of the students also have the home situation were not good, so they were actually felt like they were like not jailed, but they were like constrained in the at home. So it's different experience, and it depends how they make meanings of the COVID, because of the different situation, but also the different family situation. That's probably. But because of this, I focus more on the general research process. I did not mention about that, but actually that was the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sita. This is, I think, the last question from Isma Hidayati to all presenter. I want to ask how to maintain arts and culture, especially Indonesian culture. So maybe let's start from Professor Junko, or okay, this is for all presenter. Question for all presenter. Please, Professor Junko.
Yes. The question is to Indonesian, especially Indonesian culture, but I don't know actually the Indonesian circumstances just now. But in case of Japan and my circumstances, I think the most basic and important is education. To keep and transmit the art and culture is younger generation's hands. So what we should do is to keep teaching students on art and music and also culture. Just a brief answer of my own. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Junko. Maybe Dr. Sita can give a suggestion or something about how to maintain arts and culture.
Thank you very much. It's a very difficult question, but I think it's important to always situate arts and culture within the society, because once we took out the society, also the experience of from arts, it will be just a commodification. The art and culture would be just only a commodities. And we've seen that recently that the relationship between commodities have supplemented the relationship between artists, between people. And we've seen in Jakarta, for example, with the privatisasi museums, and also the emergence of auction houses for with the global audience and global tourists and global consumers and they have more powers than the common people in Jogja. So I think I've concerned more not about the maintenance, but the changing that we have already put commodities more than the culture and art itself. Maybe I'm not sure it answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next maybe Mas Awang.
Maybe I do agree with what Mbak Sita said about the way. I would like to answer a bit similarly with Mbak Sita because I am thinking that is there we need to put such kind of very critical reflections in which the first one is what does art and culture means for us, and the second one is maintain. What does maintain mean? I mean, like preserving. What does preserving or conserving? Or what does the conserving mean? And also, this is related to the way we position such kind of the so-called arts and culture within our everyday life. But instead of relying on the idea of maintaining arts and culture, I would like to say that it's better for me personally, and might be proposed to us to be discussed, to be openly discussing the way we perceive art and cultures to be more participative and emancipative. And I think that's all my questions. And very intriguing and very hard questions as well. So thank you.
Thank you. From Dr. Retno Mustikawati, please.
All the answers are already there with Dr. Sita, and but maybe I would like to add something, because this question is, of course, it's very difficult if we say it's difficult, but also it's very easy if you think it's easy. So my answer is, maybe it's all about, we need to, what you do is just be part of it, be part of the preservation of the art and culture. So in this case, it's very important to say, if the art document event is something like that, because the young people nowadays, maybe how many times do you visit the museum in your city now? Maybe never. But so if you want to also be part of the maintain of the art and